Good morning and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. I am Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
I'm Sarah.
And we are here with our top comic book picks for you to read this week. And let's start with Sarah. What did you read
Awesome.
that you really loved this week, Sarah?
So I really loved I Hate Fairyland, number 2. Truthfully, I will probably pick this every week.
That it comes out.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all had those titles where it's just like, ooh, new issue of this, it's going on the list.
I
We
love
are
it.
not doing that at all this week.
Oh,
So I'm in good company at
Yeah.
least.
Well,
In company at least.
yeah, you're in company.
But Scott Young continues to tell a really fun story. You know, last time I talked about how we're re-examining Gertrude's life now that she's an adult back in the real world. She's been kidnapped to go to Fairyland to retrieve this cajillionaire's son who's disappeared. In this issue, we find out a little bit more. I just love how tongue-in-cheek Scotty Young is with the text. Gertrude looks at the cajillionaire and is like, well, really? The only reason you want me to go to Fairyland is for your son? Like, you seem like this manipulative guy who has an ulterior motive. And he turns around and he's like, yeah, actually, you're right. I do have an ulterior motive. I want to capitalize on this idea and be even more... have even more money. And so Gertie agrees, but only if she can split half the profits. So she's back, or at least trying to get back to Fairyland. She starts the adventure, but doesn't end up where she thinks she's going to, which is pretty much on point for poor Gertie. So, but Sean Bean's art is so fun with it. And again, you think with a title about Fairyland that it's for kids, it's 100% not for children at all. In fact, there's an entire panel where she's having a conversation with a rat from Fairyland, and he's like, why don't you just swear? You can swear. There's not a magic spell put on you like there is in Fairyland, where they can't actually swear. It's really funny. But... she's like, yeah, it's a coping mechanism to make me feel like Fairyland is real. But it's a really awesome, solid read. So I can't recommend it enough. So.
And we were talking about the fact that we have all of the graphic novels in stock right now. So if you have missed out and want to get caught up, just stop in and we'll
absolutely.
We'll hook you up.
Absolutely. All right. What about you, Fritz? What did you pick this week?
So in the theme of picking stuff that we picked before, I picked the new issue of Batman Superman World's Finest, continuing the boy. Is he calling himself Boy Thunder? Is that the name they said?
Yes, Boy Thunder.
Yeah.
It was a very tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah,
he was
but on the Boy Thunder arc, where we left off last issue, he was kidnapped by the Joker and the Key, two characters that you never normally would figure teaming up, but it's an effectively terrifying combination.
It works.
Yeah. And it's also, I feel like, the most anyone's done with the Key in 20 years.
I was thinking that same thing. Wow, when did the Key get so dark and spooky?
The last time I remember him showing up as anything was a bad Justice League arc 15 years ago. So, yeah, exactly. But no, they're great in here. So a lot of the story is Superman, Batman, the Teen Titans trying to figure out where they are, how to rescue David. And normally I'm not a big fan of stories where Superman's very angry, but it really works here. Mm-hmm. There's a particular page where his face is all shadowed up, but his eyes are glowing red, and just terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
Well, and Batman explains it really well.
Oh yeah, no, Batman
behind it,
and that's one of the things that's always been good about this series is it really because a lot of times with Superman and Batman, some stuff will kind of treat them more as their coworkers and stuff like that, where this really they feel like friends. You understand that they get each other's perspective on things. They might differ at points, but these are two guys that even when they're not in costume, you see they're going to be hanging out and having a meal together. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, that's always just cool to see. But I'm always, Wade's writing is great. Dan Moore, honestly, probably top 10, top 5 artists out there for me right now. everything he draws always looks spectacular. There's plenty of action. There's plenty of like shocking twists. Like, no spoilers, but the ending to this, it's one of those endings where you can go back and reread the last couple issues and be like, oh, okay, this makes so much sense, like what they're setting up for.
Yeah.
Like it's so like obvious once it happens. It's like, aha.
Yeah, it's one of those great twists where it catches you off guard, but it makes so much sense that it doesn't feel like, oh, well, you were just throwing us a red herring on purpose just to make us feel dumb, but it doesn't really fit.
Yeah. No, and like, and again, without spoilers, like, it definitely enhances like something else. Like, once you read it, you can like go and read another story and be like, okay, I'm digging this now more.
Which is also a Wade story.
Yes. Yeah. But speaking of a Wade story, over to you, Patrick.
Yeah, well, so again, I picked a book that I have picked before, and I picked Batman versus Robin. And this is the epic conclusion that is now going to lead into Lazarus Planet and another Mark Waid book. And Mark Waid has just been killing it lately. Fritz and I were talking about how Lazarus Planet was like, oh, there's another soft reset in DC, and how exciting is that? And then I heard like Mark Waid was attached to it, and I was like, well, poor Mark. There, the publisher's giving him this event book, which is always just like,
it's such a dice roll.
Yeah, it is. And, it's kind of an albatross for good writers, I think. It just, forces them to do this universe-wide event in reading World's Finest and Batman versus Robin, and those two tie together a little bit at the beginning. So what starts in World's Finest continues over in Batman versus Robin in a very interesting way. We're trying really hard to be spoiler free here for anybody who hasn't read this yet.
Also, speaking of things tying in, read Monkey Prince, because that also factors.
Oh yeah,
in. Because the writer for that, Gene Yang, is going to be co-writing it with
Wade.
So like that's part of what's just like, oh, I'm actually excited for this now because those two together.
Well, and that's kind of where I'm driving at is World's Finest and Batman versus Robin have now set up enough of what's about to happen here that I'm really excited and interested to see what is going to happen in Lazarus Planet, and this is a direct lead into it. So and it was a good standalone story too. I mean, it could have just ended here and I would have been happy with it, but now I'm very hopeful for where DC is going, just continuity wide with all of their characters. And Mark Waid is just a brilliant choice for them to be one of the main writers for where they're going with this. This is a beautifully drawn book. It is really well written. There's a reason that Mark Waid has been writing for decades and decades and keeps getting put on flagship books and big events. And you absolutely should be checking out World's Finest and Batman versus Robin. And then to wrap up for today, we had a couple weeks ago, we had shortages from Lunar, our distributor for DC. So in stock now are, that's right, Sword of Azrael and Batman. So if you missed those, I think that we had enough to be able to get all of our subscriptions a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
But we were either very short on shelf copies or didn't have any shelf copies. So those aren't new releases per se this week, but we did get a replenishment. So if you missed those, we've got those. So when you come in today, after we open at 11 o'clock to pick up your brand new comics before the storm, hopefully, starts hitting, or before it just doesn't, end up turning into anything, which is what we're hoping, because, this month has been rough. It's been tough. Every time we try to sell something to you, it starts snowing. It's ridiculous. But follow us on social media. It's Pulp CG on Instagram and Facebook. We've got the YouTube channel that you obviously know about because you're watching this video right now. We've got our website, and big news for this coming year. Starting in January, we're improving the website capabilities and giving you a much better opportunity to shop online for our in-store inventory, so that if the weather is crummy, you can still be able to shop from the comfort of your own home. So, all right, well, thank you very much for joining us again this week. Fritz, always a pleasure. Sarah, very much appreciated, and we'll see everybody next week, assuming that we don't die in a blizzard or get stuck here or have to forage for food out of the...
Ooh, I can be a Fritzicle.
Ooh. All right. Well, that's a good place to stop. Take care, everybody. Be safe. That was tight. I like that one.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if you get over there and you forgot to hit record.
Oh God, that would be brutal.
We've only done that once.
Just once.
Just once.
It's one of those things that it was so horrible
It was so horrible that
that
it stuck with
it's
you.
burned into my memory. Yeah.